now we move the floor to Mr. Anil Sinha. He's our guest from WIPO. And allow me to introduce Mr. Anil. Mr. Anil Sinha is a national of India. He is currently the head of World Intellectual Property Organization, Worldwide Academies Research and Executive Program. In a career spanning over 16 years at WIPO, Mr. Sinha has been responsible, among other things, for the coordination of WIPO's legal and technical assistance programs in the Asia and the Pacific region, and for the administration, promotion, and development of the Patent Cooperation Treaty system in developing countries and emerging economies. Mr. Sinha has written and reviewed several articles, papers, and study materials on intellectual property, has taught IP to varied audience worldwide, and regularly advises academic institutions, industry, and government officials and agencies on capacity building in the field of IP education, training, and research. Mr. Sinha holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Sri Ram College of Commerce, University of Delhi, a Master of International Relations from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and is presently studying law at the University of London. The floor is all yours.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be here with you today on behalf of the Worldwide Academy of the World Intellectual Property Organization. I'd like to first and foremost thank our host, Talal Abu Ghazali Organization and the College of Business for having given us this opportunity to do this national symposium on IP education, research, and training. Just to start with, I'd like to mention that this is one of the perhaps 30 national symposia that we have done across the world on this major topic of IP education and research. Often in other countries, this, as Mrs. Hams Madan was saying earlier on, has provoked thoughts and often led to the creation of intellectual property academies in many countries. India is one of them, Brazil, Philippines, Malaysia. This is basically the whole purpose of this meeting it's kind of brainstorming session as to what we do about IP education in this country or in the region. So keeping that aside, let's move on to the topic, which is intellectual property and economic development. And I'd like to thank our colleague, Mr. Al-Quda. I think he made a wonderful presentation. And in fact, he was echoing the thoughts of lots of people around the world on this very critical subject of what is the role of intellectual property in economic development. And if that could be of any help, WIPO itself has now a development agenda which answers perhaps or raises questions of the kind that you have been raising. And I think there has been a general understanding and agreement now among all the member states of WIPO that there are serious issues in relation to the impact of intellectual property on the process of economic development, which needs to be addressed. And that includes some of the things which our colleague Mr. Kuda was saying, such as impact studies, by the way. A new Director General has taken over administration of WIPO just recently. And one of the things which is promised is, in fact, there's a job which is advertised now, which is the job of a chief economist, which is the first time in WIPO. So we'll have a chief economist, and among other things, the chief economist would be doing impact studies as to what is the impact of higher standards of intellectual property, whether in copyright patents, etc., on a certain type of economy. Anyway, so thank you very much for pointing that out. What I intend to do is, in the next half an hour, 25 minutes, is to make a couple of general observations on IP and economic development, as well as put in front of you on the table some of the controversial issues. He is absolutely right. Intellectual property is a very controversial subject. And you already pointed out some of the issues, for example, the relationship between intellectual property and public health, the relationship between intellectual property and access to knowledge, the relationship between intellectual property and traditional knowledge. Overall, the relationship between intellectual property and human rights, actually. So it's a fascinating subject for study at the moment, intellectual property and its linkages with other aspects of life, not only economic but also social and cultural. So I think I would welcome all academics and anybody else, all the students, to devote more and more of their time and energy in trying to see what is the relationship between IP and the other areas of life in general. One thing which Mr. Al-Quda was mentioning, that apparently Jordan government has taken a very deliberate strategy of investing in the knowledge economy, investing in education, for example, among other human development aspects of development, basically, which is a wonderful thing, and IP fits in quite well. But before we move on to that, let me give you a small illustration from my own country, which is India, which again reflects some of these worries about IP. India is very well known, perhaps you know about yoga. That's an ancient system of doing exercises which is good for your well-being. Last year in fact, there was a big controversy. In the headlines in the Indian press, they say, the Americans have stolen yoga. Okay? Everyone's attention was gathered on that. A couple of years before that, we had a similar headline. So, Americans have stolen turmeric. That's yellow powder, that, let's say, spice. But this time it was yoga. What happened actually is that there was an Indian who migrated to the United States, and then he was already a yoga teacher. And he developed a new way. Apparently, if you do yoga at 37 degrees temperature in a closed room, it has some enhanced beneficial effects. And there were rumors that he had applied for United States patents on that method of doing, which in fact later on was denied by the USPTO and the US government, saying that that's not true. But in fact, this gentleman, his name is Mr. Vikram, and it's called Vikram Yoga. He has established quite an interesting empire, yogic empire, where he basically licenses out. So if somebody in Amman wants to set up a Bikram Yoga center using those 36 positions in 37 degrees centigrade room, then you have to go and seek a license, and the gentleman, he's making tons of money. And a very good example, by the way, of how you can create wealth using intellectual property, although in this case it might be a bit doubtful because yoga is a traditional knowledge. It has been in existence for over 2,000 years, if not more. Okay, so the good side and the bad side of intellectual property here. On the one hand, the gentleman makes money through licensing, which is intellectual property. On the other hand, it's dubious whether he should be getting copyright protection and patent protection on that. Anyway, so the critical thing in the world of economic development and IP basically can be summed up by two statements. One from the developed countries, another one from developing countries. The developing countries would say, they are stealing our turmeric, neem, yoga, or we might have some local traditional knowledge in Jordan as well. That's what they are saying. On the other hand, in the developed country, they would say, they are stealing our music, our software, our films, etc., etc. So basically it boils down to two things, like theft. Theft of what? Property. Only property can be stolen, right? And that's what we're talking about, intellectual property.